Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Real Estate Disruptors. Today we've got John Gluch with the Gluch Group.
Yes.
And he's here to share how his team sold 261 properties last year for over $76 million in sales volume.
Yeah.
If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Steve Trang, broker owner of Stunning Homes Realty, co-founder of the OfferFast app, the one app you need for wholesaling, and I help people become real estate entrepreneurs. If you're excited for today's show, please give me a wave, give me a thumbs up. And before we get started, I just want to share that I did start this show because we want to give back to our community. I've struggled quite a bit in my business. I know you've struggled a little bit in your business. And we want to shortcut the struggle for as many young leaders as possible. So I don't charge a dime for this show. I don't make any money doing this. So here's all I ask. If you get value out of this show, please tell a friend. Either tag them below, share this episode, or tell them your best takeaway from this show later on. That way we can all grow together. And as a reminder, this is a live show, so be sure to post your questions, and John will be happy to answer as many of them as possible.
Yes. No holds barred. You can
holds barred. You ready?
Get weird with those questions, man.
We're going to go with a really, really tough first question.
Yeah, get real
ready?
weird. That's good. Let's keep it interesting.
All right. So what got you into real estate?
It was like many people fell into it. I went to ASU, graduated in 2003.
Okay.
And so I don't have an excuse like that there was a bad economy or anything. It was a great economy, but I couldn't get a job. And I did like really well in school and had a finance degree and all this stuff. And I just couldn't get a job. Like got to the point where I was like trying to get like hourly jobs at banks and like could not get a job. And there was one in particular I really wanted, a corporate finance job, and it fell through. And I was like, man, like this is a bummer. And a buddy of mine who I was involved with Young Life for many, many years, still am. And Young Life's a youth ministry organization. It's awesome. And my former boss at Young Life had started a company flipping houses, but also at that time he was teaching people how to flip houses. And it was all local. And it was a great, great company. It was a startup. And he said, hey, would you help me? And basically I became his assistant, like his secretary, and for like $10 an hour, just started helping him out. And the idea was, I felt like, hey, I could learn something from him. He's a great man, super smart. And I was like, okay, what can I learn about real estate and how to have a career? And so I started that way, and eventually the company got bigger, and I became part owner of the company.
Oh, that's cool.
And we grew it and grew it and grew it from there, and all kind of stuff has happened since then, but that was the original. That's how it started.
Well, that's pretty cool though that you went in there. Like $10 an hour wasn't beneath you. It was an opportunity to learn. I think that's something that's mindset that some people have a hard time.
Totally.
grasping.
I've heard since then, your 30s are about learning, not earning. And I think that's really true. I didn't have that clarity at that time, but looking back, it absolutely was. And he was a great guy to learn from, and he was smart, and he had bought into a franchise that was a local. Teach people how to flip houses. And at that time, I mean, we had unbelievable timing, right? Like everything was perfect. We just nailed it. You couldn't do anything wrong in real estate. And for, 5 years up until the bust, we just killed it. I mean, everything went really well. We learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes about how to run a company. We were both pretty new at it. But that's how I learned real estate, got into it. And then 2007 happened. Mm-hmm. You remember Maybe you remember the bad times we had.
That's when I started.
Dude, it was so bad. I remember the day I was listening to an NPR podcast called Planet Money, which I really recommend. It's great. And they were like, it was when the stock market fell and all this. And I was like, oh, this is the end of like my career. Like this is it.
Oh, really?
I had bought all these rental houses, and borrowed all this money to have these rental houses, borrowed money from my family. And it was just this whole thing. And it didn't matter that each month on my rentals, we were collecting less money than it cost to pay for them. We were like $4,000 a month negative, even when the houses were fully rented. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter because they were worth like $30,000 more every month, or 50.
Appreciation.
It was all this money until it wasn't, right? And I just remember the day driving in my car. I was single, no kids, any of that. I was just like, well, that's the end of this, like I just realized like this is all gonna change now, and learned a million lessons in that process too. But man, it was a wild ride, and I'm just so thankful. The guy's name was John, and he was just such a great mentor and friend, and that's how I learned real estate.
Okay, so you were helping him flip at that time, so you weren't doing traditional yet.
No, I didn't even have a license for the first 2/3 of that time, and we were just running classes. We'd come on out to the hotel, we could do a free seminar on how to like flip houses and all this, and we were very selective with who we picked. It was a super ethical way to do it. I mean, everybody we brought on, almost everybody ended up flipping houses and making money. Again, part of that was because the market was amazing. But I think the lessons I learned then, looking back, really were so powerful. I think it would have been even better if I had been approaching it with that angle, like, hey, this is about learning, this is about growing. But you're right. I think my initial decision to go, hey, I may not make any money doing this, but I have something to learn from this guy.
Right.
I mean, that made all the difference. Like, I didn't come from an entrepreneurial family. My dad's a government employee, high-level government employee. And so that way we grew up was, like you work 50 years at the same job and get a pension.
Extreme stability.
Right? It was very stable, and my dad provided a great life for us. So I wasn't thinking like, let's go out and try a new company, But John taught me that, like he was the guy who introduced me to entrepreneurship, and I'll never be, the same because of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So then from there, you went into Buffini?
Yeah, my first after I lost everything, I didn't go bankrupt, but close. Short sold 6 houses. My friends knew I was in real estate, and there were still people buying houses, and so they said, "Hey, would you help me, buy this house for my family?" The tax credits came around, all that stuff. So I was selling, I don't know, 10 houses, 12 houses a year, nothing crazy. But then found out about Brian Buffini and their coaching program and signed up right away. And that was the first I'd ever been introduced to self-development. Like Zig Ziglar, Darren Hardy, Brian Buffini, Jim Rohn. You go down the list. That was where all of that started for me. And that was like a huge game changer. I mean, that was like the fork in the road for me of like doing pretty good, coasting on natural gifting and charisma. And then like, oh, there's this whole new world open to me where I can grow and become a totally different person. And that was a game changer.
Well, and I tell people all the time, like the greatest gift for me in getting into real estate is that I can give my kids such a huge leg up from what we've learned through personal development that we didn't have the opportunity to learn when we were growing up.
No, it's true. Like you get out of college and you think you're done learning. At least I did. And now it's like, oh my gosh, it was just beginning. And I'm just a lifelong learner. I read so much and I'm just so thankful. You and I both love Darren Hardy and have been part of all his programs. And Jim Rohn's another one of my favorites, and Strategic Coach. I mean, just go down the list. I mean, you can get weird with it. Like you can become the junkie, like all I do is go to self-development programs. And you can definitely waste a lot of time and money learning, but not implementing. Yeah. But man, I cannot recommend enough. I mean, Darren's my favorite for sure. A great place to start. But any of it is great. I mean, it's just so valuable. So.
Well, I know I definitely followed. So I've done Buffini, right? I was like, man, John's only got a year on me. Like, how is he so much more successful than I am? So I've done the Buffini thing. I did the Mike Ferry thing. That was the only difference. Yeah. Then joined Proctor's where I met you. Yeah. And then we've done HPF and we've done Strategic Coach. So are you looking at other programs now?
No, I'm in a season of, it's a great wise epiphany I had, Steve. I take all the credit for this. I decided it was time to not travel and to take it easy on the coaching programs, to be with my family. Yeah. Which is actually my wife's idea. So,
so smart.
Yes, very smart. I'm learning to listen, and it took her 2 years of telling me, like, dude, you got to stop all this coaching stuff. And I'm like, all right, great. So, and Darren has said that many times too. Like, so often we like dig a hole, like we're going to dig a well, right? And I'm going to learn a few things from Darren Hardy, and then we pick up and we go, okay, now what does Zig Ziglar have to say, and what does Jim Rohn and you never you leave all these untapped resources. And so I have decided, okay, no, I'm just going to take it easy. I'm going to really scale back, travel very, very little this year. And so, no, my main, Craig Proctor's, I owe them a ton of my success. I'm still a part of that program. And then I've become friends with Darren, and I'd listen to his stuff over and over and over again. The tapes and all the recordings, all the programs I've bought, I've listened to dozens of times.
Oh, really?
And so those are kind of my two go-to right now, like, the Craig Proctor stuff and Darren stuff are my top ones.
Very cool. Yeah. So knowing what you know today, what would you do differently if you were starting over?
I mean, I was the three things I attribute our success to are one, being lucky. Like, we had really good timing a couple times, like I caught fire like in 2011 is when I started getting coaching, and that was a really good time in real estate to start getting great coaching and planning because everyone was buying houses and still is. So really, really great timing, and a couple other great things. The second thing is really great team. Justin Benson was my first hire, and that guy's like a wizard. I mean, he's unbelievably good at a million things, great work ethic, and it just started there. I mean, everybody since then has just been these fantastic people we've been really privileged to work with. So a really, really great team, and then coaching. Like those are the three things that's what made me and made us what we are today. I don't know that there's much I would do different. I mean, I think I learned a big lesson in the boom and the bust, which is I don't buy houses anymore that don't cash flow. Like I still buy rental real estate. We're buying Airbnbs, but we put them on 15-year mortgages and they cash flow. And I mean, I would love to have not done that. Like that was a really expensive lesson and, cost me and my family a bunch of money. So I think if I could do it over again, I would just like the Dave Ramsey stuff, like really simple, I don't totally, I have mortgages, right? I'm not like a full-blown card-carrying Ramsey guy, but a lot of what he says is smart. And I think he's way more right than I was, that's for sure. So that was a big mistake that I wish I wouldn't have made. But thankfully, hopefully, I learned from it and have changed the way I do things now,
Well, I'd say for sure. I mean, it's kind of hard to make that mistake again. You already know.
Right.
It's like putting your hand on the stove. You're not going to do that again.
Yeah.
Okay, so we already talked about this. So the next question is, a lot of people are getting into the industry right now.
Yeah.
Schools are doing really well.
Yes.
What would you tell them as far as finding a mentor?
I think I want to make a comment about the saturation. Yes, there are a lot of people coming into the market, and there's also a lot of competition from big startups with a lot of money right now that teams like mine have to pay attention to. Like we're tracking all these new guys. Like every month we have there's one of the guys on my team is posting every single month the numbers of these, how are different models growing. Like big businesses, big teams need to be thinking about other models that are giving another try. Like flat fee models have been around forever. Like we'll list your house for X dollars. That's been around for decades. It hasn't worked and has never gained market share. That doesn't mean you can write it off and say it's never going to work, right? So now you've got new teams with new models coming that are trying the same thing with a different shine on it and a lot more money. And so you have to pay attention to that. So if you're new and you're coming into the market as a solo agent, I think absolutely, like I said, of my 3 things, one of them was coaching, right? So mentorship's got to be key. And I think coming up with finding a person who is your kind of person. Like I had lunch today with an agent over at our brokerage, and he was telling me about all these coaches he had been a part of, and 4 or 5 different coaching programs. And none of them are like him. I know these coaches, and I'm like, dude, that's not your kind of guy. Like, even the coaching programs I've been a part of, there's some where you get to a point where you're like, I've learned a lot from this person, and I don't know that there's much left because we've reached to the fork where I'm a different guy than you, and I'm not going to change who I am, and you're not going to change who you are. So thank you for everything we've learned, and let's keep this relationship going. But I need something else, like I need next step. So I would say one of the most important parts about finding a mentor is finding your kind of person, someone who has a life that you want, like has a lifestyle you want, has a family you want, a marriage you want, who does business in a way that really sticks out to you as being congruent with your core values. So that takes a lot of self-awareness. Like, who are you? Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want your life to be like? To find the guy who is like you or the gal who is like you, you've got to know who you are. And so I think that's the key. A lot of people miss that. They just look for the most successful person, which, by the way, doesn't always line up with what looks like, right? We talk about all these big commission numbers, and it's like, what are you really taking home, man? Like, like,
at the end of the day,
what do you do with it when you get home? How's your, all that stuff. So I think the smoke and mirrors of the guys who are loudest on YouTube and have the biggest GCI numbers, that very often, I don't want that business or that life a lot of times. So being discerning in who you find. And then the second piece is, how are you going to add value to this person's life, right? Like you're coming asking for something, it would be a lot smarter to start by giving. Like, how can I contribute to your life? Like with John, my mentor, when I started in real estate, the guy I was talking about, like, I mean, I did a good job for him. I was there helping. I took a job that was far below what I could earn in theory. And, I did my best to really help him out with his business. And I got to learn a lot because of that. So, mentorship's a big deal.
Yeah, really I'm very big fan of finding coaching. But that's great, though. You kind of discern it's not just finding coaching, it's finding the right.
And for the right season, There are things that for a season will be very helpful, and you'll go, okay, and that's true with all kind of stuff, with mentorships, with friendships, with team members, all of that. It's like, okay, we got here together. Are we going to the next place together? Are we still on the same page here? And, with different seasons, there's different people for those seasons. I think the other thing too is, like, to some degree, like, play your skill set. Like if you're a rookie agent, never sold a single house, going to somebody who's selling hundreds of houses a year and go, hey, would you be my mentor? Maybe that's a stretch, like maybe you need someone who's going to take you from 0 to 100,000 in gross commissions. Like maybe that's a better start.
Yeah.
Not always, but it's something to consider for sure.
Yeah. I remember when I first started, one of the first things I did was I went to go and but buy lunch.
Yeah.
For all the top producers.
Right.
Like, here are the things I'm thinking. Who should I talk to?
Yeah, totally.
And that's actually how I got into Craig Proctor, because I bought lunch with Russell Shaw. I was like, look, here's all the coaching programs I'm looking at. Where should I go? He's like, that's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah.
Go to Craig Proctor.
Yeah, totally. Yep, absolutely. Like, hey, how do I get from 0 to 100,000? Like ask 5 great people that question. And, I was thinking about this last night. The Proverbs talks about all the time. Seek wise counsel. Go in the, a counsel of many people. There's this great wisdom that comes. And I am so bad at doing that. Like, just if you have a big decision to make, go ask 5 people you respect, figure out what they did. Watch a show like this,
Yeah.
I think we underutilize that simple tool,
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to reach back to a meeting that we had in a different mastermind.
Yeah.
And before we start, full disclosure, commissions are fully negotiable. There are no standards in the industry, right?
Yes,
I've heard in talking to some of the people, right, there's some major moves, some disgruntled or concerns right now in our industry.
Yeah.
And in talking to some of the other agents, they're saying, there's a lot of downward pressure on commissions.
Yeah.
But you and I are Craig Proctor, and we have the opposite problem. Like, the conversation is completely different.
Yeah.
Was that how you convey the value? So I heard you explain to our friend about you're just not articulating your value well. So can you kind of explain to an agent that's having trouble charging their fee how you explain that?
Yeah, I think there's two things that are a critical part of starting any business. If you're going to go start being a realtor, or you're just looking to go to the next level in your own business that you've already got going. And step one is creating value. So, in real estate, tables like showing people houses, listing their house, being a good negotiator, taking great pictures, that's like table stakes. Like, if you want to play the game, you're up against 40,000? How many realtors are there?
40,000.
Yeah, 40,000 people. You got to be good at the job just to even stand at the plate, right?
Yeah.
So don't tell me that you have really good customer service or you have professional photography, right? Like, got it, So what can you do that's next level that is truly creating value for customers? And you have to be able to articulate that really well. So step one, create value. Step two, articulate it, market it really well. So I think for us, what I've really hung my hat on, and my sort of mission vision, what we do at the Gluch Group is we want to humanize real estate. We want to humanize the small business world. Yeah. And the best way I can explain that is by explaining the enemy. So, and you all have examples of this, right? But like, the enemy is, I go to the doctor's office, this is a real story, go to the doctor's office, and first time to the doctor, it's recommended by a friend. I go in, there's a million people in the waiting room. I go in, I go to the front thing, and there's this glass thing, I guess, to protect them from all of us sick people, right? Fair enough. And they say, hey, how can I help you? And I'm like, yeah, my name's John, and I'm here for this appointment. And they're like, okay. They look through the thing, whatever. Yeah, what are you here for? And I'm like, I'm here for the thing. Remember when we talked for 20 minutes on the phone the other day and you asked me why I was coming in? That same thing, that's why I'm here. Like, nothing has changed in the last 4 days, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Sign me in. Great. I sit down. In the lobby of the doctor's office is all these TV screens that are running ads for drugs, right? Yeah. Like, and stuff that I don't have. Like, I don't need the ad for whatever, like these random diseases people. It's scary and not fun to be there. I'm like, this sounds terrible. Why am I here? I sit there for an hour and I'm like, I go out, hey, I gotta go. So I tell the lady I gotta go, and she's like, okay, no, we'll get this. So the doctor, sure enough, comes out. Okay, yeah, come on in, and they sit me in another waiting room for 20 minutes. He eventually comes in and goes, hey, and I gotta leave. I told him again, I'm leaving, and so he comes in and says, hey, can I refill your prescription before you leave? And I'm like, I've never been here. I don't have any prescriptions. I was just so flabbergasted, and I just left, and I was like, that is exactly what we're not. That is the perfect example. That's dehumanizing. You're treating people not like people. I mean, you're treating them like
it's a conveyor belt,
robots or animals or I don't know what, but not people. And I thought we are we're going to be the opposite of that. So like simple stuff like at the Gluch Group, when you come into our office, we know you're coming. You have an appointment.
Right.
We know why you're going to be there. So, and we can find you on Facebook. So we know what you look like. So when you walk in, we greet you by name. We sit you in a beautiful lobby, the area or conference room. We've got a menu of snacks and drinks for you to have. When you get there, you get to pick whatever you want. All the forms that we have are pre-filled. We're not going to make you write your name. We know your name. You told us your name on the phone 2 days ago. So why would we start over? That is a picture of what we're trying to do in terms of creating value. So yes, we're good negotiators. We have all the numbers. I mean, we are good. And that's important. But once you've met all the baseline standards for what people expect, you've got to then create value. You've got to hang your hat on something. And for us, that is the thing. We want you to feel important. We want you to feel like you're the most important person on the planet. And so Mary Kay said, if you'll treat everyone you ever meet like they have a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important, you'll be successful at life and business. And that is one of our core mantras is treat people like they have a sign that says, make me feel important. And what makes you feel important? The fancy Fiji water we have at the office, and we call you by name, and we don't ask you to fill out the form again. All of that makes you feel important. And so for us, that's the target. And now, okay, great. So you're good at this, right? So you've got a way to deliver value. Now, to your point about commissions, you've got to learn to talk about it. So I can't sit in a meeting with someone, buyer meeting, and explain, hey, the reason we're worth our fee is because we're going to make you feel important. Like, don't tell me about how you're going to make me feel important. Make me feel important.
Exactly.
So if by the time I sat down, I already feel important, the battle is won. Like there's nothing left to talk about. Like we've clearly delivered this great message. Everything is top notch with us. I mean, the graphics, the email, you go through it's all excellence is one of our core values. Everything's really excellent. So they already have that feeling and that emotion associated with it. It's like when you go to the BMW dealership versus the Mazda dealership, the feeling you have when you show up at a BMW dealership sells you before you even see a car. Like you're experiencing a luxury experience that cues you up for, this is a different kind of deal. This is worth more.
It's a luxury experience.
And so, yes, we have a presentation where we clearly deliver our value and we reverse the risk. We do all the stuff you're supposed to do. But I think much more important is just the way we make people feel. And that starts from the minute, from the minute that you call us the first time or you input a web form, we've got your name and number. That syncs across all of our systems. So now everybody on our team, when you call our office, knows your name because we have our system set up to do that. So Lance, the guy who answers the phone most of the time, will answer by name. Like, hey, Mary, this is Lance. How are you doing today? She's like, well, she's only called once and doesn't know who Lance is, but we know her name. So that stuff all really adds up. And being able to not only communicate that, but feel it, just know you're worth it is such a key to that deal. Like I know we're worth it. I know we're great at this. And we have to keep telling our sales guys all the time that. So just because you believe you're worth it today, don't assume you're going to feel the same way tomorrow. You need to keep selling yourself and your team on how valuable you are.
Right. So that's for the buyers. So for the sellers, how do you...
So here's the other thing I want to be really honest about is we are in a seller's market right now. It's not hard to sell houses. So if they're priced right, you have to adjust to the market. So for us, can we charge more than what like the quote unquote market rate is? Can we charge 7% for a listing? Yes. Is now in the marketplace a smart time to do that? I don't know. You've got to adjust that with your team and with your personal philosophy. But for me, it's pretty easy to sell houses right now, especially in the certain price points. So we're totally fine going, no, we're going to charge market rate, 6%, whatever you think that is. And we're going to deliver value that is so far above and beyond what the average agent does. And we're really happy with our 6% because the act of getting the house sold is easier than it was at some other point in history, right?
2-3 years ago.
Yeah, so maybe we take a little bit of a beating on the listing side, but on the buy side, that's freaking hard right now. You want a $200,000 house in Tempe? Let me tell you how hard that's going to be. My guys are going to work for that. So we're very happy to charge a little higher fee to the buyer because we're going to earn it, So I think Russell said one time, like, I don't want to build a system that charges less to jerks, like, hey, if you're going to beat me up on fee, you get a lower fee. Like, I don't like that model either. I always thought that was a great thing he said. So, and for us, we've just said, okay, let's adjust with the market and price points, right? Like you're selling $1 million house. Does it need to be the same percentage as the $200,000 house? All that so I think it's easy to stand on stage and say, we charge 7% and we're killing it and everyone should be like us. I don't think it's quite that simple with most teams,
Okay. Fair enough. So what would you say are your top 3 lead sources?
repeat and referral business, and that's, again, because we've made that our bread and butter. Like we have a full-time employee dedicated to wowing and delighting and surprising our clients. That is her job. And our wow coordinator, Michelle, she's fantastic. We've got a big budget dedicated to that. We throw great events and send great newsletters and wow people on all this stuff we do. So that's our biggest source for sure. We have a lot of great reviews on Yelp, which is one of the ways I encourage my sales team and remind them, hey, we're good at this, is we just go read reviews. Like every time we get a new review, I read it at a team meeting. Like, man, way to go. Like, that's incredible that you guys delivered a service like this that people are so proud to be a part of. So Yelp's a big one for us because we'd have more reviews than anybody in Arizona. Right. And and then we get a lot off of just our advertising our listings. So advertising them on Zillow, advertising them, putting signs out, that kind of thing. So sign calls, Zillow leads on our own listings. Right. Those are our top 3 main sorts for leads.
And then I think we probably want to clarify, and we were kind of talking about this before we were recording. Yeah. Like Yelp is great if you've got a lot of reviews.
Right. Yeah.
Don't go out spending crazy amount of money.
No, because people hear, oh, John's doing so great on Yelp and all that, and they'll go spend money on advertising. That's not how it doesn't work that way. Like you cannot game Yelp. Like there is no, you can game a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of review sites that are pretty easy to hoodwink, you can get all your friends and uncles and whatever to do. It doesn't work that way on Yelp. They're smart, and their whole platform is built on trust. Like if you can't trust that review is real, they don't have a business. So they've really been smart about it, and everyone gets mad at Yelp because all the reviews get filtered, and there's reasons for that. But Yelp is a good thing for people to have a few good reviews on that are like legit reviews, so that when people Google your name, they see you've got good reviews. That's what most people should do with Yelp. They should not spend money. They shouldn't try to make it a core part of their business because it's very, very hard, and it takes tons of time, and spending money on it is a mistake for most people.
Yeah. Very, very time intensive.
Yes.
Okay, so we were talking about the wow, right? And I think, and the enemy. Yes. And there's a story you shared with me a while ago I just think is hysterical. So you were being presented on stage. Oh, yeah. We won't talk about which brokerage it was.
Yeah, good.
But they call you and they say, Mr. Gluch. What was that story?
I was a brokerage I was at previously, and wonderful in many ways, but a big brokerage. And I had actually already decided to leave. I was going somewhere else. And I won an award. I was the number 2 agent at the company. And
in the country?
State in the state, but there's a lot of agents, and this is a couple years ago. And they called me to ask me how to pronounce my name like a day before the event, and I was like, man, I just don't think we're on the same page. Like, I don't think we're thinking the same stuff,
Right.
And that's maybe some of it's ego, I don't know, but I think part of it was like we're just not aligned, like our focus isn't the same thing. And listen, we're gonna have a movie night at the end of the month for my clients. We'll have 300 people there. I don't know all those people. I don't even live in Arizona. I live in California, so I'm not above. Like, I get that you're not going to know everybody's name, right? But the top 20 people who contribute business to my company, I know their names. Like, I know where they live. We're sending them gifts. We're calling them on their birthdays.
Justin's name and Jeremy's name.
Yeah, right.
People I know at your
guys
company.
on my team. Yes, even probably a better example. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I think in the brokerage world, it depends on what you want to do. I mean, if you just want to go to the cheapest place in town and hang your license, I mean, that's fine. There's a place for that. There's always going to be a place for that. It's just not for me. It's just not what we're up to. It didn't line up with what we're trying to do. So,
right.
Yeah.
So one of the conversations you're always kind of, I think the forefront of this is how you structure your organization.
Yeah.
As far as, salaries, profit share, and so on. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we have unique model in that not only our admin, like our transaction coordinators and wow coordinator and things like that, not only those people are salaried, which is very normal, but our sales guys have a salary too. And we've gone back and forth on this. It's been that way from the beginning where people, even the sales guys on my team, get salaries. And we've had different models, one where it was salary plus they got a percentage of how much the company made every month. So you get your salary, and then if we sell a lot of houses, you get a cut of that because I wanted people to have upside. More importantly, let's say you're on the team and you didn't sell a house, but Justin did. I wanted you to make money and be happy about Justin selling a house because I wanted to incentivize teamwork, right? Yeah. So I wanted there to be this pool of money where everyone in the team, down to our virtual assistants in the Philippines and India, have some incentive for us to sell houses. And so there's this sort of pool of money that people get a piece of, right? If I do well, everybody does well. And at the same time, what we learned is with salespeople, they're a unique breed of person, and sales is a unique job. It requires a lot of you, answering the phone on nights and weekends. And we've even shot for the moon on, we're going to have weekends where you have 2 days off in a row and you don't have to answer your phone. We got a system built that's going to cover all your client calls while you're gone. And we just realized that was not better for the customer. The customer did not want to call you and get your teammate because they don't know your teammate. They never met your teammate. So we figured out that's not going to work. So we effectively have sales guys who are working 7 days a week in some capacity. They're available at least 7 days a week. And so we need to do to incentivize them to sell houses. So we said, okay, we're going to keep the salary. We're going to keep the profit share because that's helping. It's helping us keep people, they can feed their kids even if they don't sell any houses, and they're incentivized to help out as a team. And at the same time, we want them to really win if they kill it this month. Right. And for the guy who doesn't do so hot, we want that to hurt a little bit, you know, because it hurts me, it hurts the rest of the team. And so we said, okay, we're going to back off everybody's salary, a certain amount of money, and then we're going to say, okay, if you sell the minimum number of houses that we expect you to sell this month, you'll be back at even. And if you do better, you're actually going to make more money. So that's a new thing. That's in the last couple months.
It's a hybrid of some sort.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hybrid. And at first everyone's like, oh, I don't know about this, whatever. What it's created, though, in general is a system where there's just less management. It's I don't really care when you're in the office. You just sell the houses, Either you sell them or you don't sell. And they kind of like that. So they're sales guys. They don't really want to be held to you show up at the office at 9 like a normal, kind of employee would, leave at 5. They would rather have the flexibility. And so they're now starting to see some of the benefits of it. But it does put a little hitch in your giddy up, It's I got to go get something done here. And again, what I've learned, this has been a really humbling year for me. We've had to change some things that I've got on podcasts like this, and hey, this is the greatest thing in the world. This is what we're doing, because that's just the way I talk. And I listened to it a year or two later. I'm like, that was a bad idea. That was terrible, So I'm just trying to be more forthright about we're just trying this stuff out. Yeah. And what's great is we're learning along the way. And I hope one of our core values is honor. So I really hope that our guys, our team feels very honored in the process, though the decisions I'm making affect them in dramatic ways, like their pocketbook. I'm trying to do it in a way that's not, that's honoring, that really cares for them as people more than I care for myself and my bottom line, So that's our current model. We've got a kind of salary hybrid, and I think it's going to work. Ask me in a year and I'll know better. But
I'll probably ask you next month.
I'll say this, I think it does a couple things. It creates an environment where teamwork is more incentivized, and that really shows up. It creates an environment where we can genuinely sit across from a buyer, my sales guys can, and say, I am not a fully commissioned salesperson. I'm going to feed my kids tomorrow whether you buy a house or not. So I don't have the pressure to force you to buy, and we're going to find you a house that you love, and you're not going to feel – and people really like that. They like that that's the case.
So you communicate that to your buyers.
Yeah, so that's a big part of our pitch, and it's unique. I don't know anybody else that's doing it this way. So I think that this model allows for that. It allows us to genuinely be able to say that in all truth, while at the same time having an incentive for the sales guys to go out and sell houses.
Okay. And what does your structure look like as far as how many agents you have? You had a killer year. You said this year's been a little more humbling.
Yeah.
How many agents do you have?
We have 5 sales guys. So, it's crazy when you think about how many houses we sell to have 5 sales guys. So we're a very efficient team, and we've got a really good admin staff behind them. So the sales guys are selling houses. That's all they do. And it allows them to be pretty efficient. I think we'll hit our numbers from last year, this year, maybe a little more on the top line. But what we realized was we needed more accountability on the sales staff to make sure people were selling houses. And we also had when things are good, it covers up problems, you don't realize that conversion rate over there is terrible because it didn't really matter. You're paying the bills and making money and
selling a couple of houses.
Yeah, it's great. Who cares? But when things get tight, you're like, oh gosh, hey, what's wrong? Oh, that's wrong. It was always wrong. So hard seasons, I think, are underrated. It's like, man, I'm really glad. And that's ancient wisdom, right? You read any any Bible story, I don't care what your religious preference is. There are some version of that parable of like when it's hard is when you learn the most.
Yeah.
We do not learn much in success. We learn almost everything we learn in failure and in humiliation. That's when we really learn, right?
Humiliation.
Oh, dude,
I don't remember that in the Bible.
The best teacher. Yes. Yeah, no. That's my version, right? It's like every time I walk home with like my tail between my legs, I'm like, oh, there's something here for me,
All right.
Because it means that I had tied my ego to something. I tied my self-worth to something that didn't deserve to have that authority, right? So it's like, oh, I'm just so humiliated by this thing or that thing. It's like, okay, wait a minute. The whole universe is spinning and all this is happening. It's going to be okay. Like you had a bad day. So it's been a great, great year in the sense that we're learning a lot of lessons, but hard in the sense that, again, I'm making decisions that affect people's lives in painful ways sometimes. But, it's part of the responsibility of being a leader. Part of the yoke that you carry as a leader is like you're going to make hard choices sometimes. And you're going to realize that your mistakes cost other people.
Impact a lot of people.
Yeah, and that can be hard, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think I truly am grateful for this year. I'm learning so much more than I did last year. Last year was really fun. I mean, man, it's good. Nothing went wrong. But this has been a really much more valuable year in that sense, for sure.
Okay. What do you attribute that to? I mean, the challenges that are popping up this year.
Well, for us, our listing business is struggling because we are up against like some competitors probably that a lot of agents aren't because of our size and where we get our leads. And so the iBuyers, the Open Doors, and they're out there making a dent. Not if you look at the whole market, they're not making much of a dent. But if your business is a certain kind of business like mine is, it affects you. So it's not uncommon. I'd say 3-4 listings a month. We're getting beat out by Zillow or Open Door or OfferPad because they bought the house. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and part of that's because we have a guaranteed sale program. We'll buy your house if it doesn't sell. So we get those leads because people want that, and so we're up against them more than probably most agents are. But yeah, that's making a difference for sure.
Well, I can tell you, I was doing research before we met today.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever Googled yourself.
Oh yeah.
But Open Door is an ad.
Do they have one for? Yeah.
When you Google John Gluch, Open Door is an ad.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. I knew that was coming. It's just a matter of time, but I didn't. I'm glad you told me that. But I mean, they're smart marketers.
Right.
Like they're.
Well, I look at their platform, right? A lot of what they say, it's the same thing we say in Craig Proctor.
Yeah, totally.
It just looks a little bit better.
Yeah, right.
Like their packaging
looks
a little bit cleaner than what we're able to do. Well, they've got,
because we actually have to make money.
We have to make money, and they've got this marketing firm, right? That's backed by millions and millions, whereas you and I are just doing what we can.
Yeah, we're just trying to putz along here, Yeah. No, it's true, and they're smart marketers, and that's what I was saying about the flat fee stuff. Is we got some flat fee competitors out there who are smart marketers, you know, and there are certain people who that's a great solution for. Open Door, no doubt about it, and it's clearly serving a need the marketplace has.
Right.
So I am, from my perspective of I want the customer to be treated like a person, I'm really happy that those people are out there.
Yeah.
I think I'm a capitalist through and through in the sense that I love competition because it will cause everybody to get better. So I'm having to think through our model and go, where can I really deliver value? And there are certain people we meet with who are much better off going with Open Door. Like their life situation does not serve them well to list their house and have people coming through the house and all this stuff, and they need a sure thing and they need it now. And I may not be able to provide that. Sometimes we definitely can, but there's occasionally we can't. So I love that the competition's out there. I think I don't know their business model. Like I don't know how long it lasts, how it works in a declining market, all that stuff.
So I'm looking forward to
those. Are interesting things to see.
Yeah.
But for now, it's clearly working. They now have competition from Zillow and OfferPad, which is great because now consumers can go get 3 offers and pick the best one, which happens. We've seen that happen. And that's all great, right? Like I'm into that. I like that the flat fee guys are coming with new vigor because it's going to make me get better.
Yeah.
So if we're going to stay a full service brokerage that charges a full service fee, we got to earn it, man. Like it doesn't work anymore just to list a house and call it a day.
Right.
Like you've got to really earn your keep. And that's awesome because it will vet out the people who are amateurs and who aren't really in this full time.
I didn't have this enthusiasm when Open Door and OfferPad was kicking my butt because it was interesting. You said like your particular niche that you go against those guys more often. I have that same exact problem, right?
Yeah.
Is that we do a lot of like, we'll buy your house.
Yep.
And then we're walking in there. It's like, what do you mean they're offering you that much?
Yeah.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I can't pay that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess you go to take that offer. So.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. So yeah, they definitely have impacted us, but I did not take it with the same enthusiasm that you did.
And part of it, honestly, I'm starting to think about switching our. One of two things need to happen. Either we need to get behind that guarantee to a greater degree, meaning my team. Like we need to be able to pay bigger bucks for these houses, or we need to switch our marketing. Like our message needs to change.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we're thinking that through. But either way, I am very proud of the experience that we deliver our customers and the results. I mean, this is all a marketing discussion. The value we're delivering to people, I'm thrilled with, and it's getting better. I mean, we're doing some stuff right now. We're working on some projects that are just going to be killer. So I think for me, that will always be my passion. It'll be what I'm excited about. At the same time, you have to be smart about your messaging. You've got to think about how you're going to tell that story.
Exactly.
It's important.
So you mentioned briefly earlier, you've been in California. So, everyone was like, John's ridiculous. He's over in Coronado Island.
Yeah.
That rat, whatever.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
I know. So you barely scraping by over there. So talk about the challenges you have running a team from another state.
Yeah, so we moved to Coronado Island 2 years ago. My wife and I always dreamed of living in San Diego. She used to live in San Diego. So,
she did? Okay.
Yep. So we just were like, all right, we're doing it. And it was a process. We tried it for a month. Okay, let's figure out what breaks when we're gone and fix that. So it was a process of slowly but surely kind of extending our time. And we just decided to do it. Like, we're going to try it. We're going to rent a house for a year. Loved it. Ended up buying a place. We're there. We'd love it. The challenge, it mostly made us better. We got much better at running a virtual staff. Now we've got 7 or 8 people overseas now. I mean, we're really good at running a virtual team, and good communication. A lot of that I owe to Darren Hardy's systems that are just fantastic. And we just got better at paying attention to the most important stuff. So in many ways, it just made us better. Also, all I can do is build a business. I can't go on listing appointments. I don't live in Arizona. So that helps too. That's my pure focus, is make this better for the customer, make it better for my team. The challenges are, how do you stay a leader when you don't live in a place? How do you maintain leadership? And I think I started really slow with that when we left, and have gotten a lot better at it. So I stole Darren's idea. He has these videos he sends every day, darrendaily.com, and you can sign up for them for free. And it's just a little 5-minute thing of how, whatever his thought is for the day, of how to make your life a little bit better. So I do that with my team now, like little John Daly. So not the big golfer, but the
big golfer.
Yeah, the big golfer.
Yeah.
But me, he's a 5-minute bomb video of me thinking about stuff we're talking about today, talking about how we deliver value to our customers, telling someone they did a killer job, talking about a new system we're implementing, whatever it is. And it's just a way to stay in front of them in a very scalable way. And so maintaining leadership is a really tough challenge when you're away from your team. What has not been a challenge that I was surprised by was clients don't seem to care. They want what the result I've created, the experience I've created is what they want, not me. I think people like me fine, but that's not what they're hiring us for. So that has not been as challenging as I'm sure lose some people who would rather just work with me, but not many.
Right.
And I just miss it, like I miss being around and being in the office with the team and stuff. So as much as it's great to be focused and just in an office by myself, 40 hours a week, I mean, you get a lot done that way. There's an element that's like, I miss being around the team.
Camaraderie.
Yeah. So we bought a house in Scottsdale, built an Airbnb that's just killer, that we'll rent out when we're not here. But now we've got a great, comfortable place for my family. So we can be here, a week a quarter and be with the team and be with our families and have a great, comfortable place to stay. So we're learning what the rhythm looks like for our family to be comfortable and still be around and present for the team.
Yeah.
So
that's fascinating. One of the things that I was having a recruiting meeting a couple of days ago, and they're like, why is Stunning Homes only in one location? Why are you not having multiple locations? Yeah. And I was telling them, it's hard enough to keep the culture in one location.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Man, try to have it in like 3, 4, 5 locations. Can't even fathom what that looks like. You got to have 5 amazing leaders in order to make that work.
It's tough, and I don't have all the answers on that. I know it's possible because I mean, like Apple and Virgin, you look at these companies, like, how do they pull that off? And I don't know yet, but
Just gotta have a Steve Jobs.
yeah, I mean, part of it is having really, really good leaders, you know,
Yeah.
and they figured out a way to scale culture.
Right.
It's impressive, you know, and not easy.
So what, being away or running your business, what are some CRMs, tools, or systems that you just could not live without?
We use Infusionsoft, but most people don't necessarily need that. But it's a key part of our business. It's great. Unless you're doing 100+ deals a year, you probably don't need that robust of a system. What I do recommend, though, is Asana, ASANA. That's our platform everybody on the team uses for task management. So everyone's trying to make customer relationship management software. So I look at a CRM as a tool to store and categorize all of your contacts, like send emails, some of that stuff. None of them that I'm aware of are good at task management. In other words, when you sit down, what are you supposed to do today? I don't know any that do that as well as I need it to be done. And Asana is killer. It's all it does. That is their pure function, and it's fantastic, and it works digitally. It's web-based. I mean, it's fantastic. So it's absolutely been a game changer. And that's something I picked up when I went to Coronado, because we needed a web-based system. We didn't have one. So that's really, really critical. We use RingCentral, and that allows all of our sales guys to have digital phone lines so that if they need to be off, we can forward their line to somebody else. We focus on response time. We have a program called Time to Reply, and all the different departments have certain metrics they have to hit for how fast they respond to customers. So like email response time. We learned that people really care how quickly you get back to them. That's a big deal. So we have goals and metrics tied to that. Time to Reply is a mediocre system, but it's the best one I found for tracking how quickly my team is responding to emails. So we use that a bunch, and RingCentral is to some degree tied into that. We want to make sure people are calling back clients quickly. So that allows us to track that. It allows us to forward phone lines and all that other stuff. If somebody leaves the team, we still have the phone number. We can just forward it to our main phone number. So if clients call, they're going to get us, So RingCentral's become really, really helpful and pretty critical for us. Gmail, we use Gmail suites and all that stuff. So Google Calendar, the basics. But, Yeah.
Do you have any interesting war stories in real estate?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we have the random like I had a deal that didn't close because the guy went to jail, the seller, like couldn't close on his house because he was in jail. We sold a house in like 2005 when it was just on fire. We made
or the industry.
The industry was, everything was just crazy. And we started selling houses because we were flipping them where earnest money was hard day one, released to us. And so we sold that house 5 times. We made more money taking people's earnest money who couldn't close on the house than we made on the flip, because people were just dying to buy houses and they couldn't actually qualify for the house. So we had that was an interesting one, So we've had I sold a house to 2 different people once. That was a mistake. And so I had 2 legit contracts with 2 different buyers for a house I owned. And we had to pay one guy a bunch of money to go away because everyone wanted to close on the house because everyone was making money on houses. So it's amazing that they just let you go write contracts, day one out of real estate school. Like the stuff we wrote was just crazy.
We got an amazing lobby.
Yeah, really. Yes, we do. Thank God. So we've had some funny ones for sure, but for the most part, we've gotten through mostly unscathed.
And what's your biggest struggle right now?
Listing business is down. I think that the biggest part is we're just competing against those iBuyers. That's the best excuse I have. I think the other reason it's down, although the market numbers don't vet this out, but meaning there's just as many listings this year as there was last year. There isn't actually a listing shortage. So from my team's perspective, though, we're getting a lot of leads from people who don't end up selling. They go, wait another year and rent it out or whatever because the market's good. And I can't blame them. So
they're not super motivated.
Yeah, so we've created a really good long-term follow-up system for like when that happens, how do we deliver value for a year, 2 years, 3 years till that person's ready to sell to where they will not forget about us. Our plan used to be, we'll call you in 9 months. You say you're going to sell in a year, right? We'll call you in 9 months. That's a terrible plan because a lot can happen in 9 months. So now we're doing all kind of stuff like setting up Google alerts to make sure if something changes on that house, we're aware of it. And we're sending comp packages like every couple months, like really nicely done. Like, hey, here's the latest info on your house, just in case you needed to know. Stuff that really delivers value to people. Yeah. Again, it's about value creation, right? So the idea is hopefully 9 months down the road when that guy's neighbor who's a realtor goes, I'll list your house. He's, oh no, these guys over here, they've been taking care of us. Yeah. So we've really created a brand new system for that's killer, I think. And we'll see. Again, I have all these ideas I think are great, but I'll know in a year. But I think
sounds great.
Yeah, I think it's going to be much better than what we were doing for sure. So that's our biggest problem is just getting listings right now is challenging.
And what would you consider to be your superpower?
I think the way that our team is our superpower. I mean, we have people who are so good. And they are so good at making people feel special and caring about people. We have 3 core values: honor, hope, and excellence. And honor is, for us, the way we define honor is how do we treat you when things go bad, like when things go sideways, right? So other realtors in transactions sometimes don't treat us very well. They don't treat our clients very well. They fly off the handle. They curse at us, all this other stuff. How do we treat you when that happens? Now, I'm not saying there's no boundaries. Like there's things you can do and say to people on my team that get you kicked out of the sandbox, right? Like we are no longer talking to you.
Right.
But it rarely gets there. So most of the time it's how do we really care for people when things are hard? And then just empathy, right? Like how do we empathize with people our clients when it's hard, when it's a bad day, when you miss out on the house you really wanted, when we fought like crazy to get it and we couldn't, our guys are really good negotiators. We pull stuff out of the hat you wouldn't believe. That being said, it doesn't always work out,
Right.
And we can't control everything. And so when it goes sideways, how good are we at caring for people? And that's a big deal. I mean, that really adds up. That's where you get customers for life, they will never leave you.
So talk about hope. You said, so we talked about honor. We talked about excellence earlier.
Yeah.
So hope.
So hope for me is the belief that things are getting better and that I'm a part of that equation. So Lord's Prayer, right? Probably most famous prayer ever. So on earth as it is in heaven. That's one of our little mantras as a team. And not to get too religious, but the idea is we want it to be like heaven on earth, right?
Right.
Like who doesn't want that? But there are people who, even religious dogma that is, it's getting worse. Like we're just sort of it's going to hell in a handbasket, right? There are people who that is their life philosophy, lots of people. And ours is the opposite. We only hire people who think it's getting better every day, who go, and that we have a role in that. So for us, it's not only should business get better, not only should we humanize small business, but it's going to happen with or without us, and we want to be a part of it. So we have this overriding belief that we can make our company serve people in a better way today, serve our team. Starts with my team, right? It's like the way I prioritize things is my team is more important than our customers, for sure. So if my team is loved and cared for, that will pour out into our customers. And so that is hope for us, is that there is always hope for a better tomorrow. No matter how bad it got an hour ago, it's getting better, and you're a part of that story. It matters that you show up today and do your job.
So one question, this is Brandon Nose wants to know, how do you balance scaling a company to your size while maintaining work-life balance?
That's I would say from a personal perspective, that's maybe my core competency is, I live on an island and spend a lot of time with my family. And, I have built a business that is, you have to start from the beginning, right? Like what kind of life do I want, and build your business to support that. So I love our clients. I love selling houses. All that was great, but it wasn't, I like building businesses more than I like that stuff. So for me, it was like, how do I get to a point where I can be detached from all of that, where I'm not taking client calls, I'm focusing on my team, and then they're focusing on our customers. Like Steve Jobs, right, wasn't out selling iPhones. That doesn't make him any less, doesn't mean he cares any less about his customer. I would say he was obsessed with the customer experience. Yeah. So where does his value most create a great experience for the customer? And it wasn't selling iPhones at the iStore or Apple Store, right? So same for me. I think where I can scale my particular skill set in the gifts I have is by really taking care of my team. So you just have to start with it in the beginning, and then I think the second thing is create systems that support it. So I've got really great systems around, like when I'm off, I have people covering all my phones and emails and all that stuff, and I can totally be off.
Right.
And then prioritizing it, like this year, this is like 2 weeks ago, I was like, I only have 3 yearly goals, right? And one was to increase the intimacy in my marriage. One was to increase my own sort of sense of emotional and psychological health, just to become a healthier person. And the other one was an income goal. And I went, I'm taking the income goal off, because I was thinking about it all the time. I was thinking about, like, are we going to hit our goal and whatever? And you have to pay attention to the numbers. And I'm not saying this is for everybody. And it's not even for every season. But I felt like for this season of my life, it was a mistake to have any kind of income goals. Like, I just needed to make my life be about connecting with God, connecting with my wife, and being as whole as I could be as a person, and letting that flow out into my team, letting it flow out into the customers we work with, my friends, family. So part of it is just paying attention, you know? So like Darren has this thing called the best year ever, and it's a really like $100 program. And it's like, what do you want to do this year? And what are the 10 behaviors that will get you there? So every day I check off in my best year ever checklist, the 10 behaviors. And the 10 behaviors aren't sales calls. They are, be affectionate with my wife 3 times a day. You know, like these really goober, like nerd things, right? But it won't happen if I don't try.
Exactly.
And okay, when I'm home, am I really paying attention to the kids, or am I just kind of watching TV or taking phone calls or zoning out or whatever? So that I really, really try hard. So it's a lot of people pay lip service to this whole thing of work-life balance, and for me, it's life, it's blood. You know, if I build some business that is huge and I burn my marriage down to do that, I've totally failed. You know,
and I think it's all powerful, right? Everything that you said, and I think one thing you kind of glossed over, like it's just a given, right, for us,
right?
But when I went through Insane Productivity, one of the slides or whatever, he drew a circle, right? And he's like, every entrepreneur, this is your business. Life kind of happens around it. Right? And he's like, you're doing it wrong.
Right. Totally.
Like, here's your life, and here's your business.
You're here to live.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. And I think, too, recognizing as a team leader, you got to find some place in your mind to file the fact that people on your team are going to have different lives than you. Like, not everyone wants what I want. Like, not everyone wants to go and live on Coronado Island. You know, it sounds cool, but that's if people wanted to do that, I think they would. You know, I think realizing that my job is to follow my own path in life and pursue my dreams and ambitions, the things that I have laid out before me that I'm supposed to do, and to help other people do the same thing, you know. And I want to provide an environment where at the Gluch Group, where people love their jobs, they love the community, they love to serve their clients, and that's great. Everyone's got different paths, you know. People love different things, and reconciling that in your mind and not feeling guilty for the fact that there are people helping you in your great ambition. Like, they get to be a part of something really big and special. And so do I. And we're better together. Like, this wouldn't be as cool if it was just me.
Exactly.
Or if it was just them, you know. So you just have to find a mind space for that.
What is your favorite, best, or most interesting failure?
I mean, my best failure was losing all those houses. And I think the most painful part about it was that it lost my family's money, which...
You're talking like your parents, your siblings?
Parents' money, So you still, like, that still, to some degree, sucks today, you know. And I've told my parents many times, and this is the God's honest truth, that is the best investment they've ever made, was that money, right? Now, it may not feel like that today because they can't use it to go on a cruise, right? But they still managed to get out on some cruises, God bless them, you know. And they're doing fine, and they're taken care of. But it showed so much to me that they were willing to trust me and to take the risk, and maybe more even than failing and learning from the failure, there's something in your subconscious mind that goes, they believe in me, you know? Like, you know what you believe in when it costs you something. Like, your core values, I don't care what you say. Show me what cost you today. When was it expensive for you? Then you know. So my parents, it was very costly for them to demonstrate how much they believed in me, but I think that I don't know that at a conscious level I was like, oh, they really believe in me, you know? But I think at a subconscious level, then and forevermore, I'll have that lesson which will benefit my kids and my team. You go down the list, right? I mean, that decision, which was very costly for them, benefits probably hundreds of people, you know? So that's probably my favorite one because I think it was just so valuable, you know? It really meant a lot to me.
Awesome. Well, I think this has been really insightful and really helpful. You had mentioned before that you had an event coming up. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I am sharing, we have an event next Monday, and Tony Giordano is speaking. He's the headliner for it. He's like a social media guru, like realtor to the stars guy, and he's great. He does a great presentation. He's speaking for most of the day, and then I have an hour and a half long lunch breakout where I'm going to talk really specifically about building a wow business and how we've done that. And so that's kind of repeat and referral business, how to scale. How do you scale the Brian Buffini system, kind of, is it, right? In +1. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And if you want to go to that, it's next Monday. It's all day. And the best way to let us know you want to come would be to email Ashley, ASHLEY, at gluchgroup.com. And Gluch Group is spelled GLUCHGROUP.com. No T in Gluch. GLUCHGROUP. So Ashley at gluchgroup.com. And we could put a link in the Facebook deal for that. But they could just email her and just say, hey, I'd like to come because we need to know, like, I think by noon tomorrow, because it's free
2
food.
2 days ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I got an extension.
Okay.
And the breakout is only for the brokerage I'm at, but I got permission to have some for anybody who I told about on the show. They could come too. So just be sure to email Ashley by like noon tomorrow at the latest. Let us know. You can come. It'll be a great event and free food. It's a really nice hotel. It's at the Palomar. It's going to be great.
And I think that what you're going to be talking about in that breakout is more in depth. I mean, we only talked about it for like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, this is like
your WOW program.
Yes, this is high level. I'm going to be like slides with pictures of here's how we do our buyer meetings. Here's how we send client gifts to people when they come in. Like a lot of the really specific tactical things, and it's meant to be for the person who's selling one house a year, all the way up to big teams. I mean, it will work the way I'm presenting it for anybody.
Right, and I've seen you present it before.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's if anyone has the opportunity, you guys should definitely go check that out.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for letting me share about it. Should be good.
And then for tomorrow, we have the monthly meetup, the Real Estate Disruptors. We got Carlos and Sal from National Cash Offer. So McFate Brewing Company at 4:30 p.m. If you haven't RSVP'd yet, please let me know. The guys they're doing 30, 40, 50 wholesales a month are the ones that are going to be doing the Q&A. So definitely come check it out. And again, if you like this show, please share this episode right now. Let people know about it. And John, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That was really
good to see you,
awesome,
as always.
Really helpful.
Yeah, hope it helped. Thanks, man.
Thank you.